Today is May the 26th, 2009. My name is Tanya Finchum. I'm with Oklahoma State University Library, and we're conducting an oral history project entitled Centennial Farms. And today we're in Guthrie, Oklahoma, with Pearl and Leon Jared of the of the Birch Farm. Right. So thank you for having us today.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And Leon is
My
Pearl's
son.
Okay.
Oldest son.
Oldest son. Okay. Well, let's start by having you tell us a little bit about the land, how your family came to have it.
They bought the land. It wasn't. It was after '89. It had to be after '89 because my dad's mother wasn't born till '89. So it had to be after that. But he accumulated this Birch Farm right here, and this 160 acres we're on, and he also acquired 80 acres across the road, and then on the other side of it, and then another one south here, and it just stayed in the family and went from E.E. Birch to her dad, Hal Birch. It was what, Harry Earl Birch, and it stayed in that family, and then he gave 80 acres to all the daughters, and 160 to the son here. This 160 here.
So how many daughters were there?
Five daughters.
And one son?
And one son.
So total acreage at one point was?
Altogether would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 480, 510 acres all total.
All total. But the original was just 80?
We're not sure. I think this 160 came as a package.
Okay.
It was originally bought, this 160. He acquired the other 80s around it.
Then how many brothers and sisters did your father have?
He didn't have any, did he?
I don't know. You didn't have any uncles?
Well, I don't think so. There's several of the Birches, E.E.'s, different ones.
But your daddy, Grandpa Birch.
He was the only child, I think.
Okay.
Well, that's how most of the land stayed with him then. He was
Right.
the only one to get it.
Right.
Well, do you know what was raised on the farm early?
They had corn down here. I can remember having corn and cotton down here in the bottom, and quite a bit of cotton.
I think, early on, because this house was built later. The original house, and she's got some pictures of it. This porch that's out here on the west side of the house was the original porch for the original building that was built here. And so they stacked their bales of cotton all over this porch out here. And when they tore that house down to build this house, they kept the same porch and just put it all together.
Well, that's neat. It is.
But they raised cotton, and then they went to corn when they started milking cows out here and run a dairy, a small dairy. They raised corn and put up ensilage out here in this east lot, east of the barn there. And then over the years, as that kind of dwelled and the restrictions was put on everybody with the dairies, then they went to wheat farming. And to this day, we got wheat and alfalfa and various things around. Used to be a lot of barley and oats planted, but now it's mainly wheat.
And what's the water source for the property?
We've got a well out here at this house here, and then of course this creek runs through here, and
probably why they picked it then, if it
had
a creek.
But this well, we run cattle and watered cattle all year round here, and it's still pumping water.
Any ponds?
Jim said he remembered when that windmill up there, there's the concrete around there.
Right.
They'd fill that and they'd pump clear down here to the cattle.
See, I did more before my time. Where the well is for the water for this house, there is another windmill up there, and I guess there would have been a well up there at one time. And clear over on the far corner of this 160, there's an old well over there that is just lost in the brush, and And whether it was a windmill or whether it was a pump well, I don't know. Plus this well right out here in front of the house, and you can still, I can still get, if I get it just right and get it going good, I can get a little bit of water out of it.
But that was here with the Birch now.
Yeah, that one was.
That pump's still out there. I've got a picture of him standing by it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when they were raising cotton, did they have workers that came in to help?
Oh yeah, they had a lot of colored people come in and pick cotton.
Did they live on the land too, or just pass through?
Just people that Granddad knew, and he always loaned money to colored people. You know, I've got a lot of notes where he signed them and where he given them money and stuff like that. A lot of old papers on that. So.
And he moved houses for a living also. He was a house mover, and it was all done with mules. And my dad, if he was alive, he could tell you all about the mules because he liked the mules, you know.
You have any of them left? Any mules on the farm today?
No. Sure don't. They went with the time, you know. When they moved houses with mules, why? And you don't see many houses moved anymore anyway now. And
well, when you would take stuff to market, you would go to Guthrie, I guess, would be the closest town.
I don't know if they ever took any. I don't know.
The cotton.
Oh yes, they had a cotton gin.
Yeah, the cotton. There was a cotton gin down there in the South Oklahoma City or South Oklahoma Guthrie down here. And they'd take it to Gooch's cotton gin, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Gooch.
Gooch.
Yeah, and in fact, the county treasurer's Gooch, the same family. Her husband's granddad had that, I believe it was.
So when you were young, you lived here, not in this house, but on the farm.
I lived here. I lived up on 414 South Pines where I was born.
But that was after you got married.
Well, yeah.
Well, when you was younger.
Oh, no, I didn't live out here. I come out here and stayed.
Where did you live?
A lot. Up there, 414 South Pine.
Your daddy and mom lived up there?
Yeah, that's where I was raised, born and raised.
Okay. I thought you was born out here.
No, I was born at 414 South Pine.
But you spent a lot of time out here.
Yes, I did. I did.
Did you have any chores that you had to do here on the farm?
Well, not that I know any special ones, but then, you know, I tried to do what I could, but I don't know. You know, after 88 years, I don't remember a lot of stuff.
Well, do you remember what you might have done for fun?
No.
Sure you do. How about the camp?
The camp. Oh, well, that was
Didn't you do that for fun?
Yeah. We used to have there was the 4 Bs, a Birch, Benson, and I don't know, 2 or 3 Bensons and 2 or 3 Birches, you know, and we had a big camp up on the Cimarron River. And they'd go up there on the weekends and camp out and play crochet and stuff like that, and go swimming, and then we finally moved it down here across the creek here. It used to be all in timber, but then we had a man come and cut all the timber off of it.
But originally this down here, there was a gray building set down there, and the fireplace is still sitting there. And they kept that in Bermuda grass, and it was always shaded and some and everything. And in fact, I've got the old roller out here. Granddad he loved to play croquet. And he had a roller out here, and they would go down there and roll that till it was level, over and over and over. And they played croquet down there. And back when I was born in 44, you know, I remember standing down there as a kid, and they had bunk beds on either side of the room, and had a wood stove in the middle, and they had a fireplace also. But they would meet down there, and with her having 5 sisters and a brother, well, when we had a family picnic, we had a big one. You know, a lot of people would show up and get down there and pitch horseshoes and play croquet and stuff like that. But early on, I'd forgot about the camp up on the Cimarron, but yeah, I had heard about that. Sure had. Anything else you done?
I remember going swimming in the river up there and lost my birthstone ring. I had it, my amethyst, and I lost it off my finger, never did find it.
Hadn't heard that story.
I remember that because it broke my heart. You know, I think Mom and Daddy gave that to me for my birthday.
Well, where did you go to school?
I went to Capital School up here in Guthrie. And then from there I went to Fogarty. Then I went to high school. Graduated from high school in 38. And then I went to OSU 1 year to college. And then got married and been working ever since then. So.
You never went up here to school at the corner?
No,
Okay.
I never did go up there.
Was it up there when you was a kid?
Mm-hmm.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
How did you get to school?
I suppose they took me. I didn't walk or anything. But then I know when I lived up on Pine and went to Fogarty. Now Capital School was closer to where I lived, but then when I went to Fogarty, I skated. We'd skate to school. A bunch of us out there. We always skated to school. We didn't have bicycles or cars or anything like that.
Well, you graduated in 38,
Mm-hmm.
so you managed to get through the Depression without too much trouble.
No, I didn't have any trouble. Got married in 42. Was married for 60-some years, I think, for he passed away 3 years ago.
Well, on the original farm, what other buildings were there?
Oh, I've got the pictures of it. Well, out here there used to be a corn crib, a little old shed that they built out here. They kept all their corn in it when they got it picked down there in the field. And then they had another one where they'd hang their pork and beef. They always done their own butchering here. And my husband, they butchered all the time, even after, Granddad Birch passed away. Why, he always done the butchering.
Had a smokehouse.
Yeah, we had cows, and
Smokehouse?
yeah, they had a smokehouse.
I didn't remember. There was a guy up here that lived up at the corner and then over a little bit. He was along about Dad's age, maybe a little bit older, from Arkansas, and he and his brothers run around with Dad out here, and they butcher 8 or 10 hogs at a time, not just for this family, but for other people. And that butcher was a big thing.
They do that in cold weather.
Yeah.
Cooler weather.
January 1st.
January.
Right around there. Yeah, we did until 15 years ago. We still butchered. I love it. I really do.
In fact, I've got a grinder mixer and a saw and everything out here in the shed.
Make sausage.
Uh-huh.
Do you have your own recipe?
Oh, I don't know whether I have or not. Probably have. But I think I do have that recipe.
I know you do.
I think I do. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I noticed there's an old building right behind the house. It looks like it may have been a cellar, or
There's a cellar underneath the house. I can't remember whether that come off of the old house around here or where that come from. I've got pictures, like I say, of the old house here, and I don't know when you want to look at them.
At the end,
at
she
the
said.
end.
Okay.
After.
But
Yeah, when they was building this house, it's my understanding, you correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong, Dad lived in that house, and off to the north side of it was another little building there, but it's no longer there. But they kind of lived in this house, as small as it is, and he lived out back of that until they got this one built to move in here. And then after the family moved in here, her and her dad and brothers and sisters, and then Dad got the bigger part of that above the cellar there.
the other part was moved over to my brother, brother-in-law's over here across the creek at the, where he has a
Mhm.
lot down there of cattle and stuff, so.
But the original barn, is still out here, original building, and it's been, of course, had tin put on it and various things like that, and been added on to where they put the milk barn on. The old part of it is kind of a lean-to to the side of that, that's gone. Another building that was, here originally is this chicken house, and unbelievably, it was moved here years ago. Can't imagine anybody moving a chicken house. And they moved it from up on 400 block of Pine where she was talking about she was raised. And the granary out there, we're not real sure about when it come to be. Whether somebody built it here, whether it was moved in. Do you recall? Still don't recall. Okay.
But the old original barn out there, like I say, put tin on it, but when you go in, there's a stairway up to the loft. That's where they always kept the hay, and then there was a opening at the west end there that they could throw the hay off or pull it back in there when they loaded it and unloaded it, so. But that's closed up now with that tin over it, but you can still go inside and climb up the steps to the loft, because his grandkids, that when they come out, that's the first thing they do is play up in that loft.
They also raised a lot of grain around here that they shocked. Oats and stuff like that with the old binder, which pulled behind the mule and picked up, and then it would have a string would wrap around as a twine, you know, and then we'd have to go out with, I remember doing that as a kid, go out with pitchforks and putting these shocks, building these shocks, and just lean them together until they was all over the field. You've probably seen that at other farms, haven't you?
Not yet.
Oh, really?
Then they go around in the wagon and pick them up,
Mm-hmm.
and then do what?
Feed them to, that's what you fed, the way you put up hay, you didn't have balers back then.
Okay. No squares or rounds?
No, you use the binder. And you still see them in pastures around, put out the rest, you know, the old binders.
We see some equipment, we're not sure what it is.
Uh-huh.
So with four or five sisters, where did they get the help? I mean, no brothers, one
Just
brother
one brother.
couldn't do all the chores.
And this brother had his both legs amputated the first of the year, and he passed away about a month ago.
Or what about the sisters then?
Well, I have a sister over here, lives in a trailer house with her grandson, and she's 96. And then I have one down at Winniewood, and she's the youngest one. And me, and that's the three that's left.
So is still the original property still belong to all the family members then?
Mm-hmm.
Or any of them that does? Or you've got some?
Except the 30 acres north of town and 180 way south of
Yeah.
town, that was sold a few years back.
Yeah, that's right.
But the rest of it, this 160 and the 280s there and the one south here, are all still in the family. Mm-hmm.
And what do you raise today? Cattle or
Wheat,
wheat and cattle? And chickens or guineas?
guineas.
Guineas. Well, I had an operation 2 years ago, and I had chickens. I've always had chickens here, and I wasn't able to do anything, so I sold the chickens, and then he raised guineas, so I go up there every night and shut them up now. But no, I had cancer of the bladder, and they removed half of my bladder, so I just was under the weather, and then my knees are just, both of them swell so big I can't hardly stand up on them, walk.
But she'd always had chickens. I mean, from the
Always
time
had
she was little. Even up on North Pine, they had chickens. Sure did. And you know, I can remember butchering chickens out here, you know, hanging them up on the clothesline and,
Cut their neck.
yep,
And make chicken and dumplings then?
Oh, yes.
chicken and noodles more.
Chicken
We
and
always
noodles.
had more noodles. than we
Yeah,
had
noodles. I
dumplings.
don't think I ever made any dumplings to speak of. As far as I don't think I've ever eaten any chicken and dumplings. But,
She still makes a good noodle.
yeah, I can still make noodles. but my sister, or daughter, lives in Stroud, and she brings me chicken eggs, so I had plenty of chicken eggs.
Well, if you raised them, did you sell them, the eggs?
No, never did.
Just enough for you,
just,
your own use?
Just to use.
And
and
she would scramble and give them to dogs and cats all the time. Yeah, never went to waste, you know, I mean, you'd come in, I'd come in the back door, and there'd be a skillet of scrambled eggs there that wasn't eaten, and I knew the dogs was gonna eat good that day. Or cats. And then I just got started on these guineas.
Yeah, they say they make good guard dogs.
They
The
are,
guineas do.
I carried over, last year I hatched 50 or 60 at my house. And the owls have got them down to 16 now is all I got left. And the doggone owls just get the guineas. And I don't know why, but my fertility rate on the eggs is not but about 50%. I found a nest out here now that I told her a while ago I was going to bring some eggs in here, and I wanted to bust them and see if they're fertile, because I hate to put them in the incubator and then wait 4 weeks and none of them hatch. So, and it really, their shell is so hard, you can't hardly crack it, and it's so consequently it's real hard to be able to candle them to see if there's anything in them. And but I like to fool them. I like to hear them and watch them. And they're good, they get more ticks than anything else. And they're just good, guineas are. They're crazy, but I like them.
Well, then when you were younger, did you participate in 4-H or FFA
No.
With the farms?
No, no, that didn't. Out here, we was always told, you know, if you're going to participate in any school projects, then you walk home, because we got a dairy to milk and farming to do, and so we didn't participate in any sports or anything like that. We just come home on the bus and get right after it.
Do you remember when electricity came to the farm?
No, not really. I remember using coal oil lamps, I know that, but I don't know when electricity come on here.
Well, how would they heat the house?
We
before?
had wood stoves.
Woods.
Mm-hmm. Had wood stove sitting right there in the corner.
We moved out here, her and Dad, and me and my brother, to not the 80 across, but the other 80. That was the one that her dad gave her. And I remember living over there, and I went all through high school, and we didn't have a bathroom over there till my senior year. And then right after I got out of there, well, then I went into the Army, and you know, and I remember living there, and when we lived in town, you know, didn't have no hot water or anything like that. You know, you boil it on the stove to get it warm.
And how would you do your laundry in the early days?
I went in town and done them in there. I had some friends, Fagans, you know, they had a...
Talk to her, not to me.
Well, Fagans was their names, and I always went there and done my laundry. She's still alive, but he passed away. And in fact, she still goes to our church. But
I didn't remember. I don't remember all that.
yeah, had to go down the basement to wash. That was a mess. You know, carrying your clothes up and down there.
Was it the old wringer washer?
Uh-huh. Yes. Well, it was, you know, it was a nice old time, but then it's been a long time.
Well, when you and your husband were farming, did he have a job off the farm?
He was a carpenter a lot. He done a lot of carpenter work
He worked in the oil field early on.
to start with. Then he done carpenter work. And
This hill addition up here, he built like 90 houses in there, you know. And then her brother, he was a carpenter, and then her brother-in-law was a carpenter, so all three of them took up carpentry, and when they seen that farming was gonna get rougher and rougher, why, they all turned to carpenter work and stuff like that to make a living.
But kept the land.
Kept the land, you bet.
That's right.
Well, when you went to OSU, what was your major?
Stenography, business, But I don't know, how come I didn't go on with it, but something happened. I got a job in town, I guess it was, and working for a lawyer, so I just took it, and I worked in town at the bank and teller, and I worked at the children's home, Masonic Children's Home as secretary, and just different.
Print shop, worked for Masonic print shop.
Well, yeah, Masonic print shop.
And then came home and did more work.
Yes, that's right.
Put out a garden just for yourself.
Yes, that's
Early.
right.
What were holidays like back in the old days?
Just another day, I think. I don't think we ever done anything, only, just same old thing, just like another day.
And how many children do you have?
I've got three. This one and another son, and my daughter lives in Stroud. She's a school teacher. And she lives out in the country there, and she raises chickens. Oh, she's got over 150 layers. And she gathers eggs every night and just got every one of them sold. I don't know how many eggs she does get every night.
So farming's still in her blood then.
Yes, it is. That's right. So I talked to her last night a while and had all of her kids there at home and his too, over the weekend, so she was real busy. But she was up here Mother's Day and brought dinner, her and her daughter.
Well, do you remember having any county extension workers come out to the farm to show you how to do anything in particular? Or
No, not that I can recall.
did you have to do any conservation efforts, like terrace the land or anything like that?
No, not since I've been over here, I mean, they was still in the process of doing a lot of terracing and, but like this creek here, this all floods down here. And, you can't get any assistance to straighten this creek out. And it's totally prohibitive to hire someone to do it. They started projects and then just quit. And so, and part of it was when they come in at I-35, the land on the other side of us over here, they straighten the creek out. So when it gets straight right there, and Interstate 35 crosses it. Well, when it gets here, then it starts this, and then it wants to cut across, and it does that all the way around to the Cimarron, and now you can't even go and get anybody to talk about it. It's one of those things. Yeah, we'd love to have this straightened out. It'd make farming so much easier, but we can't afford $200,000 or $300,000 to get that done. If you could get it done for that, I don't know. But I can't ever remember, we might, as far as going into the county extension office, ask questions, It's just like I took soil samples up there this year. First time I'd ever done that, to see what the soil needed, And, but other than that, we've called and asked questions occasionally. Or what is this weed, or what is that weed, and sometimes they can tell us, sometimes they can't. Like the chemical company spread those, the weed seeds. Because every year there's a new weed you have never seen before. And here it is in force, We don't know where it comes from.
Did you live on a farm?
No, my grandparents did.
Where at?
In North Carolina.
You're a long ways from home.
A long way from home, yes.
But you both live in Stillwater now?
Mm-hmm.
Nice town. I've been over there. I was over there this morning getting feed. Stillwater Mill.
I have a friend that lives over Stillwater. She goes over to college and does something. Mary Rader. I don't know what she does over there a lot.
She's a distant cousin, isn't she?
Yeah, she's a cousin, but then I don't know for sure what she does over. She says she goes over to college for something, so she lives in Stillwater.
Well, is there enough produce or product or whatever on the farm to make ends meet, or do you have to supplement it to this time now?
Well, I'm retired from the post office. And her and Dad, they've got most of the first 5 cents that they made. And so she's all right, and I just look after her cattle here and everything. And you know, I got to be doing something all the time. And so when she's gone, I'm going to get this south 80, and my brother gets the north 80, and it'll stay in the family again.
That was my next question. What happens the next 100 years?
Yeah. And hopefully, at least this 160 and the 80 over where my brother's at, will be in the family. Because my son wants this, and Chuck's kids wants his. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Good to hear, isn't it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll stay right there, you know. Probably won't be able to make a living off of it. And, you know, kids aren't interested in gardening, so this will probably be, when I'm gone, it'll be the last of the garden. I don't know what he'll do with it, but he says, oh, I want it, Dad, I want it. So, and he's got a son, so, you know, we can go 2 more and keep it, yeah.
Well, how many cattle do you have now? How many have?
Just 12. Well, 12 cows, bull, and 9 calves right now.
So how long were they in the dairy business then?
I don't know how long that was.
I'm going to guess 10, 15 years.
Probably something like that.
Uh-huh. You know, and then they started everything had to be pasteurized and all this. I mean, we just run it through the strainers and strained that milk, put it in cans, and picked those 10-gallon cans up and set them in the cooler out there. And the truck come by the next day and picked up so many cans and left so many cans. And they've just done that every day, you know. Take it to, of course, at that time, Guthrie had 2 dairies up here in Guthrie. And we just took it up there, and they made ice cream and what have you like that.
And then you made your own cottage cheese here?
We can, yeah, I have made.
I don't remember cottage cheese, but
I've made cottage cheese, and I remember Mom making it quite a bit too.
I remember the butter all the time. Yeah, because I've got at my house in Edmond, the old cream separator. When they sold Grandma stuff, I bought the cream separator and milk churn to make butter. So I've got both those at my house. I've refinished the old cream separator. And I don't know, do you have any idea where it come from? If they bought it new or anything like that?
No, I don't know, so.
It's only got 1 piece missing that I know of. But I've refinished it all and painted it pretty and got it set in my kitchen.
Those are nice heirlooms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Would you go to church as the?
Yes, I went to church all the time. We did the Presbyterian, First Presbyterian, or United Presbyterian. And then when it dissolved, we went over into the First Presbyterian Church.
It didn't really dissolve, it just merged with,
Yes.
they call it the First United.
Now, my husband didn't go much, but then he had a glass eye, and he was always, you know, ashamed of it. So I've always been a member of the church there.
Well, then Sunday afternoons were just a day of rest, or would you
That's
actually
right.
have to
No,
work
we
more?
never went any place. Go out and eat or anything.
I can only remember once or twice they ever went out and ate. It's just like now, you know, it's been what, a year ago, I brought an avocado out here and a guacamole mix, and she'd never eaten any of that before, see. And now she eats it quite often. But a lot of stuff like that, and Dad, he would eat nothing charcoal. He didn't like the the taste of burnt fat or anything. He didn't want any drippings dropping in the fire and giving it a burnt taste. And
He'd eat one thing at a time,
they,
all of that one, and he'd eat
they would not go out and eat, you know. Absolutely would not go out and eat. You cooked it at home and everything, yeah. It's totally new when you take her out to eat, you know.
He wanted to go get his eye tested, and so in order to, he was in a wheelchair anyway, so he couldn't walk or get around. So we had the Logan County Agency come out with their van and had a colored man driving it. And Leon had fixed a place in the front porch there, a ramp for us to take him out. And he said, no, said, I can take him down those steps. Well, he took him down those steps and dropped him there and fell on top of him. Fractured his brain, you know, and that's what really killed him. He was in the hospital and drained his blood off of his head, and a long time. He was in a nursing home then, so that's just been 3 years ago.
Turn him over backwards going down the steps.
Leon tried to get him, said, let me help you. He said, I can do it, I can do it. And he did. He dropped him and fell on top of him.
It was a nightmare. I you know, because he had told me to just hold the door open, and he started out there, and it just bump, 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 and then just turned over backwards, and you know, I just was not in a place that I could stop any part of it. And you know, when I got him up off of Dad, why I thought Dad was dead then, and but he wasn't, and this guy had cut his shin, and he was worried about that more than he was getting Dad up, and you know, I finally said, I can't do it by myself, you're going to have to help me. And so they took him, we went on to the eye doctor, and he said, I just can't stay up like this, I got to lay down. And so we brought him back home, and took him down, and then 2 days later, and they don't even put you to sleep to drill a hole in your skull. You know, drilled a hole in his skull and drained 4 ounces of fluid off his brain just instantly, just squirted out of there. When they screwed that thing into his skull, just squirted out of there. It's unbelievable. And he never made it after that. Yeah. But he was, you know, this farm was his life. That was in his blood. That's all he wanted to do. And you know, he was good at it. He was good at it. He made a living off of it. And I have, you know, everybody out here has the same feeling for the land, you know. And the people, now they didn't farm quite as heavily or intensely across the road, my aunt over there, you know, as far as having the equipment to farm. He just soon rented out and do carpenter work. But
well, did your dad help in rings, like the combining ring, or participate in any of those where he'd go neighbor to neighbor and do any of that help?
No, they didn't have that so much around here. No, I don't ever remember any of that. Sure don't.
What about his first tractor?
We still got it. We got a 1953 International Super M over there, and 10 years ago maybe, my brother had located it after Dad sold it, and bought it and retook it over there and refinished it, and then give it to him for Christmas. And my brother's got it over in the barn right now, and it just put new decals on it, and repainted it, the whole 9 yards, and
It still works?
oh yeah, go out there and start it, yeah. Sure can.
That must have been a special day when he first got it in and when he got it second time around.
Yeah, oh yeah. You know, because he loved that tractor. I mean, if he caught one of us boys starting that tractor, not checking the oil first.
I got a picture of that tractor sitting on the back of the truck, and when Charles had his daddy go out and see it, it just floored him. I got a picture of him looking at it.
Yeah, he took good care of his equipment, you know. And over the years, why, you know, this place has deteriorated so much, and you know, he just didn't put the time and money into keeping everything up around here. You know, he's more intent on getting the ground done. As you get older, you can do less, so then you gotta prioritize which is gonna either bring you the most money or give you the most joy or something. You know, and some of it has to be let go and some of it's done. You know, and that's just the way, that's what I find myself right now.
Are there many fences left from the old days?
Yeah, some. You know, mainly on the other side of the creek. That's the worst thing about it, where the property line is over there. It comes down and crosses the creek for like 100 feet and then it goes back and there's no way to get around on the other side of the creek over there. And that's all original fence over there. But I put up this here and then we put it up here and down the other side. And over between the east property line, it's not too old. I can't remember when it was done, but it's not that old.
Oh, the posts from the land itself, or did you have to buy them?
Oh no, we had to buy them. We put a steel post, T-post.
But from the original ones.
The original, it's mostly all wooden posts over there, but I don't know. Yeah, I think they was because in the far corner down here, they've got a catalpa stand that was planted for fence posts. And so they was raising their own fence posts, putting catalpa fence posts in.
That's the first we've heard of that. I'll have fun spelling that.
It starts with a C. Look up catalpa worms.
We'll do that.
C-A-T-U-L-P-A, I think it is.
Did you quilt or sew much?
Do what?
Did you quilt or sew?
No, I haven't ever quilted any, and I done a little bit of sewing, but all.
You used to make a lot of shirts and stuff.
Well, I guess I did maybe a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah, she used to make a lot of shirts and make her own dresses. Sure, I remember that.
Yeah, I guess I did. I still got that old machine in there, treadle machine.
Singer.
Mm-hmm.
Did you use flour sacks, feed sacks?
No, I don't think so. I got some in there though, some sacks in there that I don't know where I got them, but there's some feed sacks in there that I cleaned up. But
They didn't throw away anything, see.
No, I don't throw anything away.
Now that's, you know,
No,
this is what she does constantly. Is
that's all I do in here.
Crochet or knit?
That's crochet.
Crochet.
That's crochet. And I tell you what. Get that sack up. That's just part of them. I've done almost 50 of these things. Just, you
one
know.
for you and one for you.
Just,
Unless you'd like a different color.
yeah, there's all colors if you
Or
want
pot
some.
holders or
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Well, to put a set of, yeah, put a pot on, not the,
hot, oh yeah,
uh-huh.
yeah, so.
hot plate holder.
Unless you'd like a different color. You did have a Oklahoma State colors. What did you do
Well,
with that?
the kids got them.
Oh, should have known.
Those are
Yeah.
smart kids.
Yeah,
I
we
had,
don't, we don't do anything crimson and cream. It's all orange and black.
And, no, your kid's the one that got them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they're just different colors and you know, I just, I made my sister's daughter's grandson, an African here last week, like that. And I've never heard from them. It takes me about 2 days to make one. I'm just now finishing up this, so. You know, I just got so much crochet thread, I just had to do something with it,
Sure.
so. But I made all my great-grandkids an Afghan and made my niece a one that almost fits this floor. Well, it's a bed size this year. It took me 2 months to make it. So anyway, that's about all I get done, that and my puzzle books, you know.
And she goes out and works in the garden as she can. She's been picking the asparagus, but bending over is getting harder and harder for her and
I just
everything.
can't do it anymore.
And everything, and so
Yeah,
So she's, I've been
That's
kinda
all
doing that
right.
each day. And, but I've learned now that the corn and stuff like that, she's got a Kubota out here, that she
you
rides
can see
around
what
on.
my knees look like.
And,
See how big they are.
I make the rows wide enough periodically that she can walk down through there and pick the corn from in it, or, stuff like that, you know. And, that way she don't have to get out to go down and pick her 3 or 4 ears of corn to eat. She likes sweet corn
Well, that's the way I picked tomatoes last year.
Yeah, she picked a lot of tomatoes
All the
that way.
tomatoes that we sold, and I sold a jillion to one man. He made a pecani sauce. Oh, and it was good. And I don't know how much money I did. Over $300 worth of tomatoes to him. And I just I had a John Deere Gator at the time, and I could just drive along and just reach and pick the tomatoes off the vines, see. Sometimes I'd have to get out and reach over, but then I don't do any walking or anything like that, so. But I don't know whether I can do it this year or not. My knees are so bad.
Well, do you do any canning?
I done some tomatoes this year. Last year I put up 30-some pints of tomatoes and quite a bit of pecani sauce and some pickled okra and some beets, and that's about all I put up, so that's all I need. It's me.
Any fruit trees on the property?
Got a lot of fruit trees, but he set them out, but they haven't done any produce yet. They're not big
Most
enough.
all cherry trees.
Mm.
So I like tart cherries. And, other than that, there's 2 peach trees, but they haven't never produced.
Or were there any trees on it when your father was here?
Mm-mm.
No.
I don't know how old that old tree is out there. That's
This whole house right here in this area here had cedar trees all around it. And this barn, of course, wasn't there, this big metal barn here. In Grandma's garden, there's a big lilac bush out here, and it seemed to me like there was one on this side also. And you went out there, and her garden was out in there just beside the chicken house at that time. But this was all in shade here because of these great big huge cedar trees. They're all gone now.
oh
And
yeah,
this,
just covered
this
us.
retaining wall, had a fence all the way around it, we've taken up since. And the whole yard was fenced in. And I don't know, did you keep your dog in here? I don't recall.
I don't know either. I don't think so.
I don't remember seeing a dog in here, but I don't think there was any fruit trees on the place, you know. Like I say, I've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 8 cherry trees out now and 2 peach trees. And now they put out 3 blueberries this year.
Pecan trees?
One right there and one around the back. Otherwise, no pecans. There was always a lot of walnuts, black walnuts. There was 2 down here along the road. There's just 1 right now. And then down here where we had a guy come in and cut a bunch of timber, there was a lot of walnut trees there, and of course that's what he was wanting, was the walnut trees. But we used to always, I can remember busting walnuts, you know, they're hard to pick out.
Yeah, they are, and stain your hands.
Yeah, yeah. That's what the Indians used to stain stuff with is walnuts, black walnuts. And black walnuts kills the soil around the tree too. A lot of stuff will grow around it.
Like cedars do that too.
No, cedars are just so dense they don't get enough sun, I think. I don't know if there's a chemical in there. But cedars, I see they're really having a problem with cedars across the state. Been on the news, and I guess Oklahoma State's involved with that quite a little bit.
They're doing something, I'm not sure what.
What they need to do is, and I don't know why, it's like CREC is over there at Stillwater. They have, well, Mexicans, the last time I seen, that walk these roads and find cedar trees and spray under the high lines. But we can't find out what they're spraying those cedar trees with. If you ever find out, let us know, because they spray them trees with something, and cedar tree is dead, I mean quickly. And we cannot, we've talked to CREC and they kind of evasive about it, they don't
A
want to
heavy
say.
dose of Roundup?
Well, I put a pretty heavy dose on around here and I can't kill them like they do. I mean, they just carry in a backpack, a little pump-up sprayer, and no matter how big that cedar tree is, it just kills it. I mean, Roundup, when I sprayed it, I could kill 1/2 of it, but the other half stay green. Well, this, they're just standing, walking in the road and spraying that sucker, and it kills the whole dadgum thing. I don't understand what it is, and I can't find out.
We'll put some. See what we can find out. What, did you have any home remedies? If you got bee stung, what would they do?
Do what?
If you got bee stung, what would you do?
Beets?
Bee stung, bee stung you.
If
Oh.
a bumblebee
What home
stung.
remedy did you have,
Oh,
any?
I don't know what I'd use for a bee sting, but I had something itching on my neck here.
She's wanting to know
A bee-
about years ago, what home remedies did you have? Not your personal health today.
Okay. Well, I don't know either, so.
You didn't used to have anything that you used to do?
Not that I know of.
You
Always-
know, tobacco juice?
No, I never.
When I get sunburned, they'd take heavy cream and smear all over my back. And boy, it relieved the burn like you would not believe. It really worked.
Cream like from the Dairy Queen?
Oh, yeah.
Cream?
Yeah. It'd be so thick, you know, that you could lay a knife on it or a spoon on it and it wouldn't sink in. It just set up real solid. Just smear
That's
that
when
on
we
your
had,
back.
when we had the cream.
Mhm. That was the best sunburn remedy you could find. But I don't remember any other remedies that
Well,
they
I
used
don't
to
either,
do.
because I never was stung with anything that I know of.
Well, anything, upset stomach or anything that your granddad or your mother, anybody might have done?
Well, what was your favorite meal that your mother cooked for you?
Oh, I don't know. She always was a good cook. I know that. I liked her meatloaf better than anything. And usually in the, a Sunday meal was her. I really liked
What'd you
it.
have with it?
Oh, same old thing, mashed potatoes and gravy, and usually green beans or something fresh out of the garden.
Biscuits?
Very seldom, but then she did make biscuits once in a while too. But then she she liked to make cakes and cookies and pies. That's what I like to do too, but I can't do it anymore with diabetes, so you just can't eat that stuff. And I know that they always went to church. You can always bet on that.
Well, did you visit the library much when you were growing up?
No, I don't think I
At
ever
the
did.
Carnegie Library in town?
Uh-huh. Oh, once in a while I'd go up there, but I never did have to check out any books or anything like that. So.
Well, how has the town changed? Got a little bit bigger, I guess.
Yes,
Guthrie.
more colored people than there used to be, and
No, I think that's the opposite. I think there's fewer. The town getting smaller. Town's getting a lot smaller, and you don't know any other changes in town. I mean, there's no store. You can't go to town and buy a pair of shoes or any clothes. Everything's antique stores in Guthrie. No, there's no stores. There used to be a J.C. Penney and a C.R. Anthony and
Lentz,
Lloyd Lentz, L-I-N-T-Z, and
L-E-N-T-Z, Lloyd Lentz and Fred Lentz, and
but they had all kind of stores and numerous grocery stores. Now, E.E. Birch, he also had a grocery store in town besides this farm.
no,
Correct.
it was E.J. Birch.
That was E.J., that was his
E.J.,
brother.
That's right. That was
Okay,
E.J.
okay, different, okay.
Mhm.
So it wasn't E.E. I thought one man owned the whole thing.
Mhm.
Okay.
So how many brothers did E.E. and E.J. have?
Well, hand me that book right there on top there. Right there. We've got a bunch of stuff there that, Mom wrote down here. Well, there was Ernest Emanuel and William Walter and Eugene Robert and Ermina Harriet and Edgar James. So evidently they were all his brothers. Way back in 1864, well, 1864 and 1870 and 1873 and 1873 was when they were born, so.
We might rethink this about whether they acquired this land in the run of '89. Because those are all, they had been in their 20s at that time.
Mhm. Well,
So they all lived here in the area too, all of those? think?
I just don't know if they did or not.
Well, do you know where your grandfather came from? Were they from Missouri or Kansas, or do you know?
Well, those pictures there.
Yeah. We just got through having and got a book. Where's your book? The Corn Greebles.
I didn't get one, you got it.
Okay. We just had a family reunion a few years back. There's one of the family members lives in, where's Ned live?
Texas.
No.
Dallas, Texas.
No, Ned lives in Idaho or somewhere up there. Anyway, he has been back and traced our lineage back from Germany, clear back to, was it the 16th century? And he's got pictures, and he's gone back and looked up when all these people come to the United States. He's been over there and seen where they were born and raised over there. The buildings are still standing. And I've got, I guess she didn't buy one, I bought one. But anyway, it's about this thick, family history type of thing. It goes all the way back to Germany, from the Corn Greebles and where they married the Birches and all like that, and goes way, way back.
Started out as Corn Gable, and then it finally wound up as Con Gable.
But see, here's E.E. Birch, here's a receipt, dated October 18th, 1916. So, you know, she's got some of this stuff here, and the handwriting is so really pretty. This is a certificate of transfer or something, and so, you know, those may be the type of things that you can scan and copy or stuff like that, you know. But German, I think Germany is where most all the relatives came from.
Do you have any other questions? Well, let's close the interview off here, and then we'll look at your pictures a little bit. Thank you for having us today. It's been fun.
It has. I wish we'd had more information for you.